Welcome back to Autism Live. I'm so excited. On Thursdays, we like to welcome an expert to the show, and often they are from the Center for Autism and Related Disorders. And today, I have the best of the best. Bryce Myler is here, and I am her biggest fan, although I have to stand in line because you have lots and lots and lots of fans. And I hope it's okay that I'm telling tales about you.
You always do.
Okay. Well, and I should ask for permission beforehand.
It's okay.
But as I was saying before, Bryce is one of the moms featured on the DVD Recovered. And if you have not watched that, I really want to encourage you to watch it. It shows 4 kiddos when they are very little kids and shows the therapy that they were getting at the Center for Autism and Related Disorders and where they were. And then it shows them as teenagers because these 4 kiddos were deemed recovered. And one of them was your kiddo. And he is the sweetest little thing on the video and the nicest young man ever.
He is.
And that was how you came to know CARD, and that was the experience you had with CARD, but you were working in the insurance field. Mm-hmm. And so when insurance happened, or it was about to happen, and Dr. Granpichet saw that coming, she said, Bryce, could you please come and work with CARD and help us figure that out? And you've been the ranking insurance expert here at CARD ever since, solving issues for us and for families and answering questions. So I want to thank you for all of that. You have been a huge service to our community. And I know that there are so many families that have watched and have spoken to you on the phone because everybody has specific little things. And I come up, you must hate it because I'll take the elevator up to your office and I'll pace back and forth. And she says, what do you need? Come in. And I go, oh, Bryce, and then you say, have that mother call me. Yeah. Because it's always so complicated.
So complicated. Yeah, right? I've been here for 10 years now.
Wow.
My 10th anniversary in May.
Oh, Bryce, that's amazing.
Crazy. And when I got here, there was no insurance. Now it's all insurance. So
amazing.
It's amazing.
Well, and if we didn't have you to sort it out, I don't know what we would do. And I've been seeing it's that time of year where a lot of parents will call me up and they'll go, I can't afford this anymore. I'm told that you maybe can tell me about grants. And what I'm finding is they have no idea what their insurance is. Yeah. One parent, we discovered that they were only $700 from their out-of-pocket maximum, and they were ready to cancel therapy for the rest of the year, which would have been almost criminal, to lose out on all those funds. So we got to get back to basics, Bryce. So I've asked Bryce to explain to us what is the difference between a premium, a deductible, a copay. I said a copy, but I meant a copay, and an out-of-pocket maximum. What are those things? What's the difference? Okay. In the most basic terms for those of us who are not insurance experts.
Okay. So let's get them one by one.
Okay.
So the premium is the amount of money you pay to the insurance company to have the insurance. The part that they take out of your paycheck is considered premium, but if you have your insurance through work, then your employer pays most of the premium and you have to contribute some of the premium. So a premium is what you pay the insurance company to have insurance.
Just to have the insurance.
It's what you're paying to buy the insurance. Okay? Now, I don't want to go back and forth too much, but if you have Medicaid, in a lot of states, the Medicaid plans cover ABA therapy. If you have that, there's no premium.
Okay.
There can be contributions required, but they don't really call it premium because Medi-Cal plans, it's not insurance technically. So premium, it has to do with insurance. So if you buy it off the street, or through Obamacare, Affordable Care Act plans, individual plans that you go and buy, or through your work, any amount that you contribute is considered premium.
So some of you may have a premium, some of you may not.
Yes, anything you contribute to the to the cost of the plan or the coverage, that's that. Okay, so now a deductible is once you have the insurance. Some plans require that a deductible be met before they pay any claims. They'll pay some claims without the deductible applying. So you might have a plan that has a $1,000 calendar year deductible. So if you have a deductible, it's each calendar year. The first claims that come into the insurance company for services that have the deductible attached to it, those claims are going to get sent in and not paid.
Right.
You will have to pay the provider whatever those claims cost, okay? So once the deductible is met, that's when the plan starts paying for the services, and it may have a co-insurance, which is a patient responsibility as well. So we have a lot of plans that, say, for example, $1,000 deductible, all the claims that you incur or all the services you get up to the $1,000, those are going to hit the deductible, and your provider's going to send you a bill.
And you have to pay it.
You have to pay the provider, not the carrier, the provider.
Right, you have to pay. So you go to the hospital on January 1st and you have $1,000 deductible. They send you a bill, and it was $22,000 because you went to the emergency room, right? Yeah. And you have to pay the first $1,000. Yes. That's your deductible, and then after that, you don't have to pay the deductible anymore.
The deductible is it's usually calendar year or plan year. It can be calendar year, which starts 1/1.
Right.
And so every year you're going to have to meet that $1,000 of in deductible.
But for some people, after they've met the deductible, they still have a patient responsibility. Yes. It's not. Everything else is free.
So the other cost out of your pocket, these are out of pocket costs in relation to insurance. You can have the deductible. Then after that's satisfied, a lot of plans pay 1% of the bill for in-network if you have a PPO plan, and another percentage for out-of-network. So if you have an in-network provider and you meet your deductible, once the deductible is met, the plan might start paying at 90% or 85% or 80% for in-network providers. So once you hit that deductible, you're going to get a bill for 10% or 15% or whatever the remainder is for the services. They also have something called copays, which are not a percentage but a flat dollar amount per service. So office visits, a lot of times they'll have a $20 copay per visit.
Right.
ABA therapy, if that's what you're getting, a lot of the times they copy the office visit payment structure.
Right.
So a lot of plans have a $20 copay per day, and with ABA that adds up really quickly.
Per day or per therapist?
Almost. I haven't seen a plan, and they really aren't legally allowed to, that would try to collect a copay per visit, like you see in the morning, the afternoon, or per therapist. Really, legally, they're not allowed to do that. So they'd usually just do one per day, which is easy, but still that adds up. Yeah. So the deductible, the copays, and the coinsurance, all of those out-of-pocket costs that the member, the parents have to pay, those all are applied to something called the out-of-pocket maximum. And that is the most important thing to understand. The out-of-pocket max on your plan is everything, because if you're going to need a lot of services, you have a condition that requires ABA therapy, you're probably going to hit that. Yeah. So what that is you have your deductible, your copays, all of these costs, they all apply to this annual or plan year out-of-pocket max. And if it's, say, $2,000, once the deductible, the copays, the coinsurance, anything you pay out of your pocket to the doctor to get care, that goes towards the out-of-pocket max. And when that is hit, the plan has to pay 100% for the rest of the year. So that's, there's two ways that the plans do it. It's either calendar year starting 1/1 or plan year. Some plans, I think like the feds might have, they do January now, but there are plans where the employer group renews on 10/1.
Right.
So if they're doing a plan year setup, then the time period runs from 10/1 to 9/30. Okay. So, but most people have a calendar year setup. So it's really important to know your out-of-pocket max, because that's where the bleeding stops for the year. The bleeding starts again the next January 1st, but if you know that your plan has a $2,000 out-of-pocket max, at least you know that once that $2,000 is hit, you're not going to get any more bills for the rest of the year, and it's more manageable, perhaps, to know that you're not going to keep getting bills for 15% of $3,000 a month.
Right. So for families that are looking, because for a lot of people, open enrollment is coming up and they're looking at their different plans. You need to really look at all of these things. But am I getting it right that the most important number, if you're doing an intensive ABA program, the most important number you need to compare in plans is what is the out-of-pocket maximum? Exactly. Because that's probably what you're going to end up paying, no matter what the deductible is and the copay and the coinsurance and all that. If your out-of-pocket is $10,000 and in one plan and $5,000 in another plan,
you would need to take that plan.
You need to seriously be looking at that $5,000 plan. You have to make sure that it covers behavioral health.
Right.
Right?
Well,
but
yeah.
So, but I think a lot of us miss that when we're looking at, because when you don't have a huge medical thing like ABA, there are other considerations. But when you're looking at something that's going to cost, and I remember the first year that Jem had therapy, the regional center paid for it here in California. They don't do that way anymore. But I remember they send you a bill afterwards that you don't have to pay, just to tell you this is how much you incurred. And I think it was $140,000 in the first year. And I went,
wow.
You know?
That's it's so expensive.
Right. And here's the thing though, worth every single penny, and the state of California knows that it's worth it, and I sure knew that it was worth it. But if somebody had said to me, it's going to cost you $10,000 to get your child treated for ABA this year, I would have had a heart attack and said, I don't have $10,000. I don't know how to do that. But if you explain to somebody it's $140,000 worth of therapy for $10,000, let's work on getting you grants. Let's work on doing all these things.
If you secondary insurance,
right? Well, let's talk about. I don't even know about that. But you know, there are ways to do it, and $10,000. Even if you had to take a second mortgage on a home to pay for $140,000 worth of therapy that changes your child's trajectory, worth it. But you have to know what you're looking at.
Right.
Okay, so let's move on to the next question. How does Medicaid work with ABA therapy?
Okay, so Medicaid. 3 years ago, 2015, the federal Medicaid program, CMS, told all the states that they needed to cover ABA therapy. For the last 10 years, each state's insurance plan, now Medicaid is an insurance, it's a government, state, federal welfare program, okay? So insurance laws had to be passed and written in every state to force insurance companies for insurance plans to cover ABA therapy, right? All states have an insurance mandate except for 2 now. So
what are the 2? Do you know?
Tennessee and I think Idaho. I could be wrong.
Everybody else has this.
All the other states have a mandate that says insurance plans, and that's a legal definition of what insurance is.
Yes.
Those plans have to cover it. So, you know, Medicaid, Autism Speaks, and CARD as well, went to Medicaid and said, Medicaid, what about you? This is ridiculous. You know, these people that have Medicaid coverage, it's not insurance, but it's coverage, they need ABA as well. So they got on the ball, and they told all the states that they needed to cover, the state Medicaid programs needed to cover ABA therapy. California does, Arizona does, why am I drawing a blank? But a ton of states, Virginia does, a ton of states Medicaid programs cover ABA therapy, but a lot of them still don't.
Yeah.
I still don't know why these states like Texas doesn't, New York doesn't, Illinois doesn't, and it's possibly because they didn't really tell them by when they had to cover it. So there's these loopholes, and the states are fighting it. But if your state Medicaid program covers ABA therapy, then you would want to figure out which Medicaid plan you have to be enrolled in, and what your provider accepts or doesn't accept. And then, you know, a lot of our kids, even if you have an employer plan or regular insurance, you can get Medicaid under the disability rules. You don't have to be low income to get Medicaid coverage, and that could help pay for the copays and the $5,000 out of pocket that you would have to come up with for your copays and all that.
So, for instance, in the state of California, you could have insurance through your employer that has ABA, and that would be your primary insurance, but you would still want to apply for Medicaid because Medicaid would then cover the copays and things like that. So you wouldn't be out that $10,000 that we had just been talking about.
Right. It'll cover it as long as your provider participates with whatever program you enroll in. For example, in the state of California, every state is special. That's why if you stand and come to me about a family in a certain state, I have to pick apart what they have and where they are because it's different. So say in California, we have what is called straight Medicaid. Medi-Cal is the nickname for Medicaid. A lot of states have nicknames, but So we have straight, it's called fee-for-service, where you pick whatever doctor you want. You don't have to go to pick a primary care doctor with Anthem Medi-Cal or Cal Optum and Medi-Cal. So in California, the fee-for-service rate, Medicaid, doesn't cover ABA at all.
Okay.
It has no coverage. So if that's if you enrolled in fee-for-service Medicaid, you get no ABA. But every single other managed care plan,
which is that MC,
they're called MCOs, managed care organization plans, and they contract with the state to provide like HMO type coverage, where you sign up with a medical doctor, a primary care doctor, you sign up with them, and they administer Medicaid for the state. So you have Anthem, Aetna's in the game now, United Healthcare's in the game, Molina is a Medicaid provider. So, it's super important to talk to your provider about which of these MCO plans they contract with.
Yes.
Because if they take Anthem but not Molina, and you do all the work to get coverage under Molina, they're not going to be able to help you. So you really have to talk to your ABA provider and find out what they take or don't take for Medicaid.
And your ABA provider should take that phone call from you. If you're already getting ABA from somebody and you call them and say, I need help figuring out which plan to apply, they should take the time with you to figure that out, because they get paid and you get more therapy. It behooves everyone for you to be able to have that conversation. Certainly at CARD, people do call and go, because the thing is, you could spend a whole lot of time. You could have your primary insurance and go, I can't afford that $10,000. I live in California. I'm going to go get Medicaid. Shannon said, get Medicaid, apply for Medicaid. And you could go and get it and get the wrong thing and have wasted all of that time. And not have it help you one iota.
Yeah, so and your provider, they have to tell you those things.
Okay.
And during open enrollment, you could be you could have insurance through your work, and they're switching to Cigna, and your provider doesn't take Cigna. That's a big problem. So they have to be able to tell you what they take and don't take.
Okay, sure. But so we're using the word provider for a lot of different things. So there's your ABA provider,
the ABA provider,
and then there's your provider, which is your insurance.
See, that's not
Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
separate.
It's hard to separate, but we call that the carrier, the insurance carrier.
Okay, the carrier. Okay, great.
Right.
All right. So I already asked what's the MCO and how do you go about getting it. So it's part of Medicaid, and you just have to ask, can I see the MCO plans? But that isn't enough. Then you have to go back to your ABA provider and say, which one of these MCO plans are you with?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
So you have to do that. And is that all of our questions? Or those the only 3 questions I gave you?
Well, there's the one,
did I miss
who do
one?
you ask in HR?
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I can't see that.
So if you're having open enrollment soon and they're giving you another plan, one thing to remember, California has a law, and pretty much all the states except for the 2, they have insurance mandates. And one thing, and I kept saying insurance.
Yeah.
There's a big loophole in insurance because everybody thinks the plan is the same. People don't even realize that Medicaid isn't really insurance.
Right.
So when you're getting your insurance through work, big giant companies, sometimes what they do is they self-fund the claims for the insurance program. And when they do that, the money for all the claims, like paying the hospital, paying all the doctors under your employer plan, the money for the claims comes from the employer.
Right.
They set up a bank account and they pay all the claims, but they hire an administrator like Cigna or Aetna or Anthem or any of those people. They hire the insurance company to do all the insurance business.
Yeah.
And there's a reason why they do it. When they do it, it's not insurance anymore because they're not paying insurance against risk. Like they pay $400 a head every month. And if there's a lot of claims, the insurance company loses money. If there's just a few claims, the insurance company makes a ton of money, right? But when they self-fund it, all they're doing is paying for the claims. So they're not paying the money to insure against risk. And when they do that, it's not insurance anymore.
Right.
And guess what they don't have to follow? Giant loophole. They don't have to follow the insurance law.
Yeah.
And so California has a mandate. So if you have a self-funded plan, it doesn't have to follow the ABA mandate, the thing that forces insurance plans to cover ABA therapy. So if you're with a big company, usually companies don't have self-insured plans unless they're over 500 employees. There's a lot of reasons for that. But if you're switching from an HMO plan, see, HMO plans don't self-insure almost never.
Okay.
So if you have an HMO plan, you're pretty solidly sure that ABA is covered, because it has to follow the insurance law. If you have a PPO plan and you're going from HMO to PPO at open enrollment, and it's a really big company, it may be self-funded.
Right.
So in those cases, you want to check with HR and make sure that it says that ABA or applied behavior analysis therapy is covered under the plan.
Okay, so I've been telling people just to ask, does it cover behavioral health? That's not enough. They need to ask specifically about ABA.
Okay, so specifically if you're concerned with the ABA coverage, almost all plans in the United States, like comprehensive healthcare plans, cover mental health. Almost all of them do. Okay, so, but these self-funded plans, they'll cover mental health, but they may not have decided to include ABA therapy.
So we've got to use specifically those words. So sometimes it requires, I think, identifying who in HR will talk with you about it, and maybe bringing some muffins to them and saying, I have some questions because I need to figure this out.
Yeah.
But I got to be honest, Bryce, sometimes people go to their HR person and the HR person says, I don't know.
That happens all the time, and it's kind of a complicated question. I don't know is not an answer. When you get insurance through work, it's part of your benefit package. They have to tell you what they're giving you. They have to. So if they say, I don't know, just say, I really need you to call the insurance company or call your benefit executive. They go to the employee benefits department or whoever's handling that, and they have to get that question answered. Try to get it in writing. And then if they say yes, and you definitely want to specifically say, I need to ensure that ABA/applied behavior analysis therapy is covered under this plan. They get it in writing. They'll have to make good if anything happens.
Okay, that's a lot that we just unpacked, but it's sort of at this time of year, especially for people that are in the middle of it and they're like, I'm drowning in bills. Look at your out-of-pocket maximum. You might be right there where it's about to all be free for the rest of the year.
Your questions were good because premium and out-of-pocket maximum, they go together. So what you're going to find is, I want say if you have a choice of a $1,000 out-of-pocket max plan, and then choice 2 is a $5,000 out-of-pocket max plan, you're going to want the lowest out-of-pocket max, because you're going to hit it, you're going to have a lot of claims, right? Well, the premium is going to go up for that too.
Right. It's going to cost you more. So you got to put those two numbers together and balance and see. They certainly make it difficult, because as you go through the booklet, I've done this myself. When you go through and you go, oh well, this one has a $2,500 deductible before they're going to pay for anything. We have to spend $2,500 before they pay anything, and yet when you do all the math, that might be the plan,
right?
Because if it has a $3,000 out-of-pocket maximum,
you're gonna pay the deductible, then you're gonna hit it
immediately.
But then you figure out your premiums, and you can actually almost do it to the penny. If you're in the middle of ABA therapy, you're going to have, in 2 months, you will have enough claims to hit the deductible and the out-of-pocket. So you figure out what the out-of-pocket is, figure out the premiums, and you can figure to the penny which plan is going to be better for you. What it's going to cost you.
I think that's frightening for us, because we go, I don't have that money. But then you move on to the Medicaid question, and then once you've solved that, whether you can do that, then you come back to me and we look at grants. I just want to say to people, I know thousands now of people who've been able to figure it out and do it. I'm not good with money, and I managed to get through it. There is a way to do it, and it's not all out of your bank account. You can't give up. Don't get paralyzed. Take a good look at it. Make the best possible choice to set yourself up for success, and then we move down the path to find you the funding for it. But this is crucial for our kiddos. Don't let money stand in the way. And don't let your lack of knowledge, none of us went into having a child thinking, I know I'm going to be an insurance expert, except for Bryce. Right? And you don't have to become an expert. You just have to know who to call. Bryce.
I love talking to parents, because it's the one thing I know better than anything in the world, and I feel like I try to explain it in a way that kind of makes sense.
Yes. And then you help help us to know what the choices are.
Right.
Not make the decision for us, but to say, take a look at this, take a look at that. Do you see that this is this? And she's fabulous. Basically, all answers are Bryce. The answer to everything. Thank you so much for coming down and taking time to do this. I appreciate you more than you could ever know.